So guys, I just want to introduce you to ambulance work. Yeah, I'm an advanced care paramedic. I do that very part-time now. The rest of the time I travel around the country talking to fine folk like you. I feel really privileged to be here today. Every time I get to speak in front of a group, I think, wow, isn't it fantastic? Particularly today, Department of Education and the viral spread out that has to all the people that matter most. So thank you, and thank you, Jeff, for inviting me here today. So I'm at Robina Hospital and we get called to a 40-something-year-old fellow who's about to jump from the Big W car park at Robina Town Centre. And we're about 2 minutes into this run, a short run, and we get an update to say that he's already jumped. Those that are familiar with Robina Town Centre, this is around the back where all the shops are, and the entrance into the Big W, Woolworths car park, etc. So he's come down right in the road below. We get there, there's crowd, there's people everywhere. Who's got kids in the room? I have two. They're now 17 and 16. They grow like weeds, don't they? But there was a 14-year-old girl at that site when I arrived. She was about 2 metres from the deceased and she had a mobile phone out taking pictures of the event. If my 15-year-old daughter was doing anything but screaming, running the other way, I'd be horrified. Isn't it amazing what social media is doing to us and desensitising us in so many ways? And I always think to myself at these times, I know what your family don't know. In the next half an hour or so, you're going to be identified and someone's out walking the dog, having a morning coffee, and they're about to get the phone call from hell. I did a job just the other day, exactly the same thing. I thought, I know what your family don't know. And it pulls at my heartstrings all the time. We get him to the hospital. We start going through his medical records. It tells a really familiar story. He became familiar to the hospital about 7 years prior. And it started with a simple thing: his wife had left him. And he wasn't doing too well. 6 or 7 months into, he eventually goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, I can't sleep. Doctor, I'm feeling agitated at work." So the doctor in his little window, who's got a 7-minute window, doctor, hands him out a prescription for some antidepressants and some Valium for his extra bad day, and he suggests he goes and sees a psychologist. And so off he goes. He starts to enter the next 7 years up and down in the yo-yo of life. If up here is the most happy and down here is the most sad, I call it the spiral of life, and we're all on it. I'm having a bad day, I'm having a good day. I'm having a bad day, I'm having a good day. I'm having a bad day, I'm having a wife's left me day. I'm having a troublesome day at work. I'm having a stash of my antidepressants. I'm having a stash of my Valium. I'm now tanked on vodka. I enter what we call the black hole. I become 10'6" and bulletproof, and I jump to my death below. Do you reckon we're all capable? Absolutely we are. 1 in 2 of us are now entering a depressive rate within our lifetimes. 1 in 2 of us. That's half this room, guys. Is that acceptable? What could we be doing so horribly wrong? What could we be doing so horribly wrong? 1 in 6 of us will now have cardiac disease in this country. Guess from what age? From age 25. They're finding plaque on the vessels of 10-year-olds now. 1 in 6 of us. 1 in 6 of us. I think with all the deaths last year, 35% were contributed to cardiovascular disease. Wow, what could we be doing so horribly wrong? So interestingly, when I've got somebody in the back of the car and they're having some kind of chest pain episode, and we give them some drugs and we look after them, we get some blood flow back to the heart, I always ask them the question, what's your resting blood pressure? Hands up who knows their resting blood pressure. Hands up who knows what their blood pressure is when they're stressed at work. So most people generally don't know. So then I ask the next question, what's the tyre pressure in the family car? If you left here tonight, could everybody put the correct amount of pressure into your car to get yourself safely home? So we all seem to know how to look after our car, but we don't know how to look after ourselves or some of those figures that are so important, whether we stand up or we fall down. And the last thing, medical. This one just blows me away. 1/3 of us, 1/3 of Aussies, by the year of 2050, are going to manufacture themselves into this illness. And so what am I talking about? How could that be? Why is that? How could 1/3 of us make a decision that I'm going to become sick with diabetes by 2050? So what is diabetes? Now I know you've got some things out there, but just a couple of little indicators here. Who reckons orange juice is okay for them? 11 teaspoons of sugar in the average bottle of orange juice. Who loves their Coca-Cola? Come on, isn't it amazing? The biggest drink in the world, no one puts their hand up. 16 teaspoons of sugar in your little bottle of Coke. Who goes out for lunchtime and gets stuck into their mother drinks or their V drinks? A massive 18 teaspoons of sugar in a mother drink. And then I wash it all down with a Mars bar just before I come back into work. And I consume 8 teaspoons of sugar. There's almost more sugar to the actual bar itself. I got asked for about a year or so to work with a financial firm. They combine health and well-being together, so I was the well-being guru, if you like. And so people would come in to extend their houses and do this and buy the new family car, and I kind of sit there and do the happiness check. Where we're going? Is this going to build on your future, build on your happiness, or whatnot? So it was a really interesting time, and I learned so much. In that space. So much so we called it the golden handcuffs. Wonder what the golden handcuffs could mean. Pardon? Debt. Yeah. So we suddenly keep hocking our income to whatever level it is. We get a pay rise and whatnot. We keep hocking our income, and we eventually put the golden handcuffs on. A classic example is this in the mines. A plumber gets a job. He's over on the Brizzy Gold Coast earning 60, 70k. He gets a job in the mine. He's suddenly earning 150k, male or female. What do you reckon they do with it? Pardon? They spend it. What do they spend it on? Jet skis, fancy cars, get the lease, get the ute, get all those kind of things. Suddenly they got the golden handcuffs on. Something changes in their life, and mining falls on its like it did, and I can't go back and be a plumber. So suddenly that sort of monster starts to crawl onto your back. So I say to people now, what do you value the most? What are your top 5 values? As an exercise, go home tonight, get your family, whoever is together, and just have a look at your top 5 values. What are my top 5 values? What are my top 5 goals? What are the differences? Goals to me are the shiny things. Values are the things that are intimately personal to me. So just rattle off, guys, just off the top of your head, what's your number 1 value? Family? Health? Financial security? Yep. And before I start in the ambulance service, I would have said all of those too. But it's changed. It's changed. My number 1 value, without question, is my mental health. Because without my mental health, I can't be a good father, I can't be a good partner, I can't be a good work colleague. I'm certainly not interested in looking after my physique. And so I have to look after my mental health. Spend a week with me in the ambulance, you'll be saying the same thing. So, what are we going to do about this thing called mental health? If it all starts with mental health, do we need to understand this subject a little bit better? We're talking about 1 in 2 of us, guys. I'm talking about your family. So what is mental, let's go with the depression, anxiety, all those common threads we know. What is it? What are some of the symptoms of it? Low mood. Sleep. Withdrawing. Overthinking. Who reckons they've been depressed? I haven't been formally diagnosed, but by God, I've been depressed. I don't know how I've missed a clinical diagnosis of, Paul, you're clinically depressed. Maybe just didn't go to the doctors during those times. But yeah, so all those things. So what's actually happening in our heads? Why do I start feeling sad? Any suggestions? Pardon? Self-worth could be a reason why we feel sad, yep. So what I want to do is take you for a little journey inside your head, because I reckon we're lacking this information. If we don't know what's happening inside our head, how can we keep well? How can we look after ourselves, apart from going to the doctors and the doctor giving us a prescription for some mind-altering medication and join the 33 million prescriptions? But then she goes with another group of friends. They've got another plan for her. Hey, why don't you take this little tablet? So they flip her a little white tablet. This will make you 10'6" and bulletproof, cheaper than booze, only 20 bucks. How much have you been spending on wine each night? So no questions asked, she takes down this tablet, promised to make her 10'6" and bulletproof. Who does that? 18-year-olds and 80-year-olds. Everybody that's looking for a fix to change that serotonin space to get on that high will grab anything to change that space at the moment. So she takes this little tablet, and true to its name, she becomes 10'6" and bulletproof, and she feels terrific. She's got a surge of confidence, talks to guys she's never spoken to before. She's having a cracker of a night. What has she just taken? She's just taken an ecstasy. It gets to 2 o'clock in the morning, some of the effects start wearing off, so what does she do next? She pops another one. And fast forward, 2 o'clock in the morning, ambulance coming, and that's kind of where the story ends. What is it about that drug that puts you on so much of a high? If we can go back to this little picture, here, it has something to do with increasing the serotonin inside that nerve cell. How much do you reckon an ecstasy increases the serotonin inside the nerve cell? What do you reckon would make you feel good? 10 times? If I increase my serotonin 20 times, would I feel like a bit of a buzz? What would happen if it increased at 600 times? Whoa, and we don't even know what's in this crap anymore. So the chances of it being higher than that. So what happens when we've got a 600 high euphoria? What a drug, guys. What a terrific drug to make you feel terrific. The problem with it is, what goes up 600 has got to come crashing down 600. And the last thing I'll say to you guys is this, is that, this is another epiphany I've had fairly recently, is that where have all our statesmen, stateswomen, our go-to people gone? 30 years ago it was so easy, I could rattle them off. It was Uncle Frank, it was Auntie Betty, it was the cleaner at school. Now the cleaner at school's got a meth habit, Auntie Betty's depressed and she's smoking cones. So I say, where have our go-to people gone? Is it us? It has to be us, doesn't it? If it's not us, who is it? Who's going to help the next generation through? I was in northern Queensland the other day with TAFE Queensland. I addressed about 160 teachers in Cairns and about the same in... And I said, guys, you've got privileged positions. I've got privileged positions, so I've just had a group in front of me for an hour, so I can get up there and talk about some of my life and things in between, and I think, wow, education sits poised. But what happens if the teacher's mental health isn't right? What happens that the teacher gets up there and lectures the kids till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, the kids are just watching you? So is this a space we need to get really excited about, have a great time with? Getting well with mental health doesn't have to be a chore. When you finally wave the white flag and you say, you know what, today's the day, it's a whole lot of fun getting mentally well.